In debating the Trump's King Cyrus metaphor, there are two Bible icons who are relevant to the debate. The best question to ask is this: which event in biblical history fits better as a Trump metaphor? And it is the Hosea and Gomar story. The story is told through the writings of Hosea himself in the book of the same name, Hosea. And in the first chapter, it speaks very clearly. And I quote, "The Lord said to Hosea, go and marry a girl who is a prostitute, so that some of her children will be born to you from other men. This will illustrate the way my people have been untrue to me, committing open adultery against me by worshiping other gods." The 3 points to extract from this text are these. 1. Hosea, a prophet of Jehovah, is commanded by him to marry a woman of ill repute, a prostitute. Notice that Hosea's marriage to Gomar was not with the intent to transform her. There was no expectation of repentance, no forgiveness sought. At home she was a wife and mother, but when she dressed for the streets, she would be a loose woman just as she was before the marriage. Number 2, some of her pregnancies during the marriage would result from sex she had with other men outside the marriage. The reason some of her children would be from other men was because she did not exercise temperance in terms of protected sex or venture to do anything different from her premarital lifestyle, and would be quite open about it. And number 3, this marital union was to be an illustration from Jehovah to the Israelites of how they were behaving towards Jehovah, towards him. This was the way the Lord chose to discipline these rebellious people. He placated an illustration for all to see. Gomar was a woman in her youthful childbearing years, and although a person of ill repute, was able to ascend a good notch into society to marry a statesman at Jehovah's command in a timeline that chronicled the birthing and growing of 3 children, a son named Jezreel, a daughter named Lo-Ru-Amah, and another son named Lo-Ami. The time taken to birth 3 children, including wean time, would be roughly 3.5 years. And it was at the same time that we see Jehovah removing his favor from Israel as he disciplined the people through the kingly dynasty of Jehu. Simultaneously, he also showered his blessings upon the tribe of Judah. Let me further emphasize that in the text, Gomar in Jehovah's discipline here is the illustration to the people. Yes, she's an illustration symbolic of the condition they were in, a rebellion so devilish they needed to see what they looked like. Gomar was not there to give a testimony of how changing from a promiscuous lifestyle could get you a holy statesman for a husband. She was not there to demonstrate her penitence before Jehovah and carry herself as a dignified first lady within the congregation. No, when she would enter the sanctuary, heads would turn and noses stuck up for the oddity of this family, where one of the children could likely be a striking redhead running about, looking nothing like anyone else in the family. There's much shame to go around because she's there only as an illustration of how far Jehovah's elect backslid into adultery. In the first video, part 1, I discussed how Jehovah used King Cyrus to deliver the Israelis from bondage. And here in part 2, I show how Jehovah used Gomar in the role of chastisement for his people. A major faction of evangelicals use Isaiah 45 as proof to place the former POTUS in the position of a modern-day King Cyrus. But when comparing the facts, most Christians, most people in fact, would agree that the Trump factor fits better as a Gomar metaphor. Now, as you weigh these points, be kind and courteous to your neighbors. And do remember to comment, subscribe, like, and share.